Imagine you're about to fire up the grill for a weekend cookout, but the last thing you want is to spend a few $100s on a smoker that just can't keep a steady temperature, or that forces you to guess when the meat is done. You've probably seen a ton of Instagram posts of people pulling perfectly pink brisket out of a sleek black box, and you're wondering if that magic is something you can actually get at home. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the past month testing the Weber Searwood XL600, not just reading the spec sheet but actually setting it up in my backyard, running a couple of different cuts, and watching how it behaves when the weather turns windy. Let's walk through what I found, so you can decide if this is the right piece of equipment for your grill game before you hand over any cash. First off, the biggest question people have with any pellet smoker is whether it can hold a consistent temperature when you're juggling a brisket, some ribs, and maybe a veggie side. The Searwood XL uses Weber's Rapid React PID controller, which is basically a thermostat that reads the grill's internal temperature every few seconds and tweaks the pellet feed in real time. In practice, I set it to 225F for a low pork shoulder, and after the first half hour the temperature stayed within a 2-degree window for the next 5 hours, even when a gust pushed the wind through the patio. That kind of stability means you can trust the cooking chart you're using without having to constantly hover over the grill with a separate thermometer. Now, the direct flame cooking mode is where things get interesting. Most pellet grills rely on indirect heat, which is perfect for smoking but can be a pain when you need a quick sear. With direct flame, the grill opens a vent and blasts a burst of flame directly onto the cooking surface for about 2 minutes before closing it again. I used it to give a thick ribeye a crust after it had been smoked low and slow, and the result was a nice caramelized exterior without the flare-ups you'd get on a charcoal grill. If you love the idea of a one-stop shop that can both smoke and sear, this feature actually saves you from having to finish a steak on a separate pan. The SmokeBoost setting is another convenience that shows up when you're in a hurry. It cranks the pellet feed to its maximum for about 10 minutes, flooding the chamber with extra smoke. I tried it with a chicken thigh recipe that calls for a heavy smoky flavor, and the extra plume gave the meat a richer bark without making it taste like it's been sitting in a smokehouse for days. It's not a magic button that turns a cheap cut into prime rib, but it does let you dial up intensity when the recipe calls for it. One thing that often trips up new pellet grill owners is the learning curve around pellet consumption. The XL's hopper holds enough pellets for about 15 hours of continuous cooking at 600F, which is plenty for most weekend projects. However, the feeder can jam if the pellets are a bit damp or if you're constantly changing temperature settings. I noticed the occasional click-click when I dropped the temperature from 500F down to 300F, which is a reminder that you still need to keep the hopper sealed and use good quality, dry pellets. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's a small maintenance habit you'll pick up quickly. If you're looking at the price tag, it's definitely an investment. The XL is positioned as a premium smoker, and the cost reflects the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity that lets you monitor and adjust temperature from your phone. In my experience, the app is straightforward. You set the target temperature, watch a live graph, and get an alert when the grill reaches the set point. It's handy if you're juggling other chores and don't want to stand by the grill all day, but if you're comfortable with a manual knob, you could save a few $100s by going with a more basic model. So the value really hinges on whether that remote control is a must-have for you. Who should consider buying the Searwood XL? If you already have a decent grill and are looking to step up to true smoking without buying a separate smoker, this is a solid bridge. It shines for people who love to experiment with different cooking methods: low and slow smoke, high heat sear, and everything in between because you won't need to shuffle tools or move food between appliances. It also makes sense for those who entertain regularly and want a reliable unit that won't drift temperature on a breezy evening. The Wi-Fi integration is a plus for tech-savvy grill masters who enjoy fine-tuning their cook from a phone. Who might skip it? If you're a purist who only ever does traditional charcoal grilling, the added tech may feel like unnecessary fluff. Likewise, if you're on a tight budget and just need a